Well, for years, we've been hearing that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Yes, but is this first meal really that important for our health? Kerry Weatherly, registered dietitian and nutritionist, weighs in on this topic on this week's 10 Minutes to Your Health. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to
Great to
Smile
see you.
Jamaica.
Happy
Same
New
here.
Year.
Thank
I
you.
pray that this year will be your best.
I hope
There's
so.
a specific meaning to breakfast, that word.
Well, it does suggest, that you are breaking the fast. And the fact is that most of us would have been sleeping for a few hours before we actually eat that next meal. So there is that suggestion that you're breaking a period of not having eaten for a
I
while.
come in every morning. I probably have regularly about 3 or 4 cups of tea every morning during the show.
Right.
My first meal is really not till about 11:30 or so.
Right.
Is breakfast that? Or it has to be eaten a certain amount of time after you wake up or something like that?
I think your first meal is breakfast.
No matter when you have
Not hard and fast in terms of time, because again, some people's reality is they're up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Some people's reality is they get up at 8 o'clock in the morning. So that first meal, in my opinion, would be your breakfast.
Why is it so important?
Well, breakfast is important because, as Neville just said, you've been not eating for a few hours, and so they're essential functions, like your brain needs to have glucose in order to function properly. So just your ability to focus, to stay on task, to walk up and down and do what you need to do. So you must fuel your body in order to be able to carry out some of these functions.
So are there particular things that you probably should include in a breakfast, regardless of whatever time of day you wake up, like Omawali wake up at 6 p.m.?
Right. I think it's important to include things like fruits and vegetables, because those foods sometimes get left off of the eating plate, so you want to pay attention. Definitely food from animals, so this is going to be whether some source of protein, whether it is milk, cheese, eggs. You also want to pay attention to especially your staples. So things like oatmeal will give you some of that, whole wheat bread, because again, we're looking at energy, protein as important in this meal.
We talk about breakfast, obviously,
Yes.
but does it matter how late you eat at night? Like, sometime I hear that you must eat late, but I will get up at 1 o'clock and want something. Does it matter what time you eat at night?
Well, as my disclaimer is always is, what are you doing at night? Because let's take, for example, a security guard is working, so you have to bear in mind what kind of energy are you expending in this period of time. So is it that you're up studying, you're planning for work the next day? And so these are factors you must consider. It cannot just be a wholesale, you can't eat at night, because it depends on what's happening.
Because them have a 6 o'clock, I don't know who stick them on 6 o'clock. Every people say, I don't eat after 6. And I say, well, you don't know what me I do after 6, so it might be. So it depends on the cycle that you
And
have.
what's going on.
By the way, did you agree that breakfast is the most important meal?
I do believe it is, because what it does is it sets you up for the rest of the day. It's going to allow you to get some energy, having not eaten for a while. It's going to allow you to be able to focus. It's also going to allow you to kind of streamline the rest of the meals for the day. So you don't want to overindulge at lunchtime or overindulge at dinner. So if you start off with breakfast, it will kind of keep your glucose even throughout the day, blood glucose that is, and so you will not necessarily overindulge at the other meals. So
I asked you what are some of the things that you should include. What are some of the things you shouldn't? We are a stew chicken, curry chicken, breakfast
and
eating
every morning
people.
I say, how can you be having dinner for breakfast? Because in my opinion, meat is dinner. I mean, you can eat meat.
well, here's where, this is an opinion.
Yeah.
I don't believe that there is necessarily breakfast and lunch and dinner, because I eat breakfast for dinner sometimes. Sometimes I'll have an omelette and and toast at dinner time. So again, it depends. A guy that is on a construction site, I can't say anything wrong with him eating some stewed chicken and some dumpling for breakfast. This person is going to be lifting and carrying some heavy weight. So it's very dependent on what you're doing, because importantly,
But like Marvin, when he leave here, I'm just going to go sleep.
you might want to not
Just drink
necessarily.
juice.
Well, no, eat some fruit, some vegetables. Get some whole grains in there as well.
I've already said that my first meal is almost midday.
Right.
Does that hurt my body?
It
In other
Well-
words, if you skip breakfast and decide your first meal is lunch, that's a problem, that's an issue?
It could be, because basically you are, again, there are people who are in, like you say, you will have 3 cups of tea. You're almost in this routine and this is what your body is used to. But you don't necessarily want to be doing it all the time, because as I said before, dips in your glucose level, just feelings of fatigue, and just not allowing yourself to just be at your best for the day.
And go back to something that you said. So you don't buy this very strict, this is for breakfast, this is for lunch, this is for dinner.
Not
You are
necessarily.
suggesting that all curry goat can eat for breakfast and the argument done?
It depends, yeah. Because, there are certain things I have a problem with. Like, I have a problem with drinking soda in the morning. Like, I don't know, psychologically, I have an issue with that. We know the whole sugars and that situation, as well as another beverage would give you maybe some vitamins, some minerals, and some other nutrients. But in terms of food from animal, would be a chicken, your staples would be your potatoes or your yam, maybe a little steamed callaloo on the side.
But is it that if you start off so heavy in the mornings, then just don't eat stewed chicken and then go eat oxtail and then go eat?
Portion is going to also be very important.
Right.
So how many dumplings you're having, how many pieces of yam, how many fingers of banana, and how much chicken. So all of that is going to factor into
What
the
if you're
equation.
kind of boring like me? Because I only eat seafood.
Okay.
So every day I go snapper.
We have a concern about seafood based on the research that we know that there's issues with mercury because of the waters that the fish
Too
live
much
in.
seafood don't good for you?
It's not a good idea to eat fish every single day. I'm just saying.
Miss Kerry, let me tell you something. From the beginning of Smile Jamaica, we have been trying to figure out what's been going on up here. And you just one fell swoop. Mercury rising, man.
Yeah, it's not all fish,
Yeah.
but pollution is a reality, and we have to bear that in mind.
Oh, my.
In a serious way, fish or seafood?
Seafood generally, but then there are, just in terms of, because, for example, we don't ever, I think it's a good rule of thumb not to necessarily eat the same thing every single day. The Jamaican dietary guidelines speak to variety, so
Yeah.
eating from all the food groups on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And so you don't necessarily want to single out any group of food and make that be
Well,
be
salmon is my
consistent.
favorite meal, and I probably have that 4 or 5 times a week.
Okay.
But again, I just want to be clear if you're saying all seafood with this mercury thing come up or just fish it up.
Well, I know particularly of fish.
The fish where
the
Ima
fish.
eat. The fish where Ima eat.
Particularly of fish, because there are some that there are particular concerns about, and a lot of times the waters that they're fished
All right,
from.
we got the wrap up.
You better start eat some pork.
So you're suggesting you should have breakfast. You're
Yes.
suggesting fruits should be in the breakfast.
Fruits, vegetables, and some kind of what we call complex carbohydrates. So
Like?
whether it is oatmeal, cereal, whole wheat bread, using
Porridge?
exactly, a warm cereal like porridge, excellent. Those types of foods are good options.
And the cornflakes and things.
No, those are a reality. What you want to do with cornflakes is you want to kind of find one that has 6 grams or less sugar in a serving,
Some fiber on there.
and some fiber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't understand that, because that's the reason we eat cornflakes, because it's sweet.
Pork, you better start eat some pork. Pig not eat mercury. And that me trying to tell you. Pig not eat mercury.
Good to see you. Registered dietitian and nutritionist, Kerry Weatherly.
Awesome
10
having
minutes to
her.
your health. We'll do it again next Thursday.
Next Thursday, I carry some pork chops.
We're burning fire and that.
Then I have to cook.
We're burning.